All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Richard Taylor, and I'm coming back with an update on a story I did approximately a week ago. As you see the caption, Dillard Middle School Principal Mr. Mario Ray has unsuspended, if that's even a word, he has unsuspended three of the middle school students that he unjustly suspended uh, on March 25th, March 22nd, as this letter states. Now, I'm going to read you this letter from the parent concerning the reasons why Mr. Ray initially suspended the students, but I'm going to give you a recap of the video I did last week. Now, apparently, there was a student who was already expelled who was walking to school one morning with three other students who were not expelled. And on their way to the school, there are these abandoned houses about a block away from the school. The individual student who was expelled went in and set fire to the building, while the other three students were sat and watched. Now, they didn't have anything to do with it. They didn't aid and abet them. They was just, once again, being curious 10, 11, 12-year-old students, seeing if this guy is literally going to set the house on fire. However, after the fire was set, the principal stated that the school camera saw the other children coming from around the side of the building. It was then that those children were asked about the fire. This one particular mother said she was called to the school, and she said her son denied any involvement. Also said the other two students denied any involvement and vouched for her son that he was not in the house. He didn't have anything to do with the situation. However, the police came. He also questioned the three students and also cleared them of any involvement in that incident. Nevertheless, despite all of those actions, Principal Mario Ray, once again, in his disciplinary and totalitarian, authoritarian style, he suspended all three students for 10 days and also sent this letter to one of the parents recommending that her child, who has never been in trouble before in his school years, be transferred to the alternative school. Now, the mother called me this weekend. Actually, it was yesterday or Saturday. No, matter of fact, it was yesterday on a Sunday, saying that Mr. Ray called her and said that her child is no longer suspended and her child is able to come to school Monday. And he stated that the other child admitted to setting the fire, and that is the child who was expelled. So, pretty much the mother was still kind of upset because the damage has already been done. Her son has been suspended since March the 25th, in which he had already missed about 4 days, and he wasn't slated to return to school until April the 15th. So he's going to be suspended all of this week. Now, also, the child was recommended for alternative school. Now, once again, I mentioned that there is a propensity, there's almost an agenda to push these children into alternative school because, as I was informed, that the school district gets more money for each child that is placed in alternative schools. Nevertheless, Mr. Ray recanted his suspension of the child, citing once again the other child admitted to doing this. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, why did he suspend them in the first place? Now, I'm going to read you this letter that was sent to the mother. He said that this letter is to inform you of the 10-day suspension of your child from Dillard Middle School. This suspension will be for a period of March 25th through April the 15th, it is based on the fact that your son, now once again, he claims in this letter, it is a fact, based on the fact that your son has violated the Wayne County Public Schools Board of Education policy 4300 Code of Conduct that is distributed to students on an annual basis. Now, we're going to go over these two things that this child was alleged to violate, but we're going to also explore how these policies are very ambiguous and can be used in a aggressive manner to punish students, regardless of if these violations are accurate or not. Now, the letter goes on to say, on Friday, March the 22nd, your son was suspended for being a contributor to arson on the route to school. The house was 75% destroyed by fire. The student admitted to being in the house when the fire started, which totally contradicts the mother's version, where the child admitted not to being in the house in front of Mr. Ray, the police officers, and his mother. So once again, this man is definitely lying, because if the child would have admitted to being in the house, then he would have also been arrested by the authorities. So once again, this guy is blatantly lying in this letter to the parent to justify unjustly suspending this student. He said this was reported to law enforcement. This behavior is specifically prohibited in Section C, Level 29 and 210. Now, I'm going to go over these sections. But once again, if this was reported to law enforcement and this child admitted to being in the house, then law enforcement would have indeed charged him with, once again, being accessory to this action. Now, Level 2, Section 9 says a child is possession of any incendiary material, including but not limited to matches, lighters, or lighter fluid, or the use of any material reasonable likely to result in fire on school property is prohibited. Now, once again, this child wasn't found to have any matches, lighter fluid, and the fire that was set was not on school property. Now, the statute states that he is not to have any of those items on school property. Once again, the mother, nor Mr. Ray, nor the police found any of these items on this particular child. Now, the second part of this this statute, which is very ambiguous, details property damage. It says no student shall intentionally damage or attempt to damage or deface school property or personal property. Now, once again, this is supposedly related to school. Now, the first part says school property. So that means if a child is on the school grounds and he breaks a window or he destroys a computer, that would be a violation of this policy, which the child did not do. Also, it says damage or deface personal property. Now, this statute is talking about personal property. Now, once again, this statute is probably relating to the personal property of individuals or teachers that is on school property. Personal property meaning if the child takes somebody's cell phone and throws it around. That is destroying not school property, but personal property on school grounds. Now, this aggressive principal wanted to apply this statute to personal property, which was not on school grounds. Now, under this premise, like I mentioned in the previous video, a child could be leaving out his door on the way to school and stop by your neighbor's house that is not even in the school district. He can bust his neighbor's window, go to school, come back home, and then they find out that, okay, your son broke my window. According to this statute, the way he's trying to use it, the child could be suspended for breaking his neighbor's window, which has nothing to do with his behavior at the school. That is how Mr. Ray intended to use this policy. Now, however, this letter goes on to say, in addition, I am recommending to the superintendent's office that alternative school placement is appropriate based on the specific infraction coupled with my assessment of your child's culpability. Once again, this child was not found to be in any wrong according to the law. So how is your assessment of the child's culpability intended to usurp or override what law enforcement has already deemed plausible, that this child had nothing to do with the fire? Once again, this is that aggressive, I do what I say so. I'm the head NIC in charge. Your child's possible culpability, possible dangerousness, severity of harm that was caused or could have been caused by this infraction, in addition to other mitigating or aggregating factors found relevant to the incident. What mitigating or aggravating factors are you talking about, Mr. Ray? Once again, they use this particular wording to justify the unjust suspension of this child. Now, it goes on to say, during the suspension from middle school, your child is entitled to complete school work upon request. It will be the parent's responsibility to make this request directly to a school administrator or to the school office. Likewise, it will be the parent's responsibility to pick up all schoolwork related materials or textbooks immediately when provided and to return completed work and related materials upon completion. Failure to obtain schoolwork for your child may result in the student receiving a grade of 0 for the days of school missed. Now, once again, this man has put this child in a position where his grades are negatively impacted for a decision that shouldn't have been made in the first place. As I mentioned, this suspension has already been retracted, but again, the damage has been done. The child is probably discouraged for being punished for something that he had nothing to do with. His grades may have suffered. His reputation amongst his peers may have suffered. And it's just okay. Well, he can come back to school. You know, the other child admitted it. Once again, where the police already cleared this child under of any wrongdoing. Now, it ends and says, upon review of my recommendation, the superintendent will render his decision and advise you of that decision in writing. Upon receipt of the superintendent's decision, please follow those directions explicitly and quickly as possible. You see how they want the parent to hurry up and sign this without taking the proper recourse or the proper opposition to this recommendation. See, the lay parent would hurry up and sign that and say, okay, well, I have to do this. You do not have to do this. You have a right to an arbitrary mediation to refute these claims. And definitely, I went to the school last Monday when I heard about this, and he was not there, but I will definitely be talking to him about this matter, because once again, this is definitely a outlaw tactic where he's just suspending school students based on his own assessment, whereas the police has already cleared this child. Now, remember, Mr. Mario Ray was ran out of Spring Creek Middle School when these tactics were employed. The parents got together, and they would not have any of this. And also, I think that he also inquired 2 DWIs, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, during his tenure there. And when he resigned from that school, I think that he said, you know, my personal life is not a reason why I'm resigning. I might even take a break from education and figure out what I want to do with my life. And then, a few months later, he was assigned to this school. That is how, Goldsboro Wayne County School District operates, where they once again shuffle these principals and administrators around where they have already been determined to be ineffective or unwanted by parents or students of that said particular school. Now, this is once again Mr. Ray unsuspending these students. Now, once again, he's acting like he's doing the parents a favor when really he owes these parents some compensation. The child should have never been suspended in the first place, being that he was cleared of any wrongdoing by the sole authority, which was the officer. And in this case, I believe it was Officer Rivers. I left a message with the police station last week, and they said that he will get back to me, or his supervisor, which once again, I have not received a call. And that's fine because the matter has been resolved. Now, I don't know if that first video and my criticism of him was a reason that he would call that parent and recant that suspension. But I would like to think that when we hold these people accountable for these, once again, outlaw cowboy type actions, that they will see that, you know, people are not going to stand for that, especially when you're talking about the education and also the criminal record of children. You know, once again, we all know about the school to prison pipeline. If you don't know, I ask you to do some research. But there are definitely tactics, once again, that has been used by school boards all across America to criminalize students and also get them a criminal record, just like the young 13-year-old last year who had an incident where Mr. Ray was found to escalate that incident and also caused that child to be given criminal charges. So what do you think? Leave your opinions and comments in the comment section of this video. If you do want to talk to me about this or any other incident involving Goldsboro City Schools and your child's treatment by administrators, teachers, or principals, feel free to call me. 919-587-7782. My line is always open for these matters because, once again, it is the children that are our future. And, you know, for we already know about the low performance of these schools. So if they are also being unjustly suspended, that's going to contribute to these low performances. But nevertheless, I'll still, you know, the mother still wants to make her plight known. I'll be calling Mr. Ray, you know, probably later on this afternoon to really see what was his motive for suspending this child after, you know, the police had cleared him for any wrongdoing. 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings.